game, and he's right here.
Right now.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Are you ready for a little football NFL style tonight? Yeah, come on. Yeah, on NBC tonight, turn it on. Cowboys, Buccaneers defending champs. Sven told me yesterday on the show that it's going to be a wash. The Cowboys have no shot. Welcome into the show. I'm looking forward, as you can tell, to the start of the NFL football season. Tonight in Tampa, reigning champs Buccaneers. They're a favorite, and the number keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the only reason I knew that is I was listening to the Gridiron, and Beaver told me that. All right, y'all, text the show, 885-ESPN. That's the number to the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is the best sausage. Hands down, look for the Red Hog. Text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. 885-ESPN or 885-3776, whichever you prefer, whichever's easiest to remember them. Tonight on NBC, 7:20 kickoff. Dak and the Cowboys. How you feel about it? Welcome in on this Thursday. So we'll talk a little NFL football, look ahead at the JUCO games that are going to happen around the state of Mississippi tonight, high school football tonight, tomorrow night, and, of course, looking ahead to the college weekend. I'm also going to tell you what you can watch on television depending on where you live from an NFL standpoint. That's all coming up. Welcome into the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team. Staying connected to you because of C Spire, the number one network in Mississippi, a great Mississippi company, C Spire. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Matt.
1 week from today, C Spire will be at my house installing C Spire fiber.
Hopefully they'll do it before noon.
Well, let's see. Actually, the appointment's for 3 p.m. next Thursday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do the show, and it'll be bon voyage. See you later, old internet. And if everything goes according to plan, by the next day, Friday, which would be the 16th, 17th, then I'll be operating on C Spire fiber internet, and I can't wait.
So we're going to have our fingers, our toes, and our eyes crossed, hoping that it works the next day.
That's it. Right. And
maybe we ought to test it early that day.
Well, what I'm going to do is that night, just for fun. See, the night before it's installed, I'm going to go in on like my YouTube channel and upload a video, keep it private where nobody can see it. That's about 1 gig or 2 gigs worth of, data, and see how long it takes for it to upload. And then the next day, as soon as they install the C Spire fiber, I'm going to do it again, and it'll be like a fraction of the time to upload that. And that'll be like yes, with no limits.
You know it works.
And then it works. And
well, we'll be able to connect, though. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah. We're going to connect, Bill.
Oh, we'll connect.
Okay. It's going to work.
It may be such high speed that you'll be talking like Alvin and the Chipmunks. It'll be that fast.
All right. Or I may put my machine over here on the highest connection you can get.
Yeah.
And it'll be so good and robust. We'll look over there, and about halfway through the show, the machines will be smoking. There'll be steam coming off.
There'll be a fire back in the equipment room from the tie line burning.
Yeah. We jest. We only jest. All right. So welcome, and call me today. I hope y'all will. Call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Yesterday was a show slam full of phone calls, and there was a lot to get into. So same thing. Today, you want to talk? I'd love to hear your voice. It is the Davini Equipment phone line, Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. And they've also got what we're calling the Wild Game Treat, WGT. Go check it out. I told you yesterday, and I showed the people in the on the live stream, that storeroom, like if I'm getting some pictures from Jonathan at Davini Equipment on Highway 51 Madison. So, like anything for a food plot. And they'll even rent equipment to you. If you need to rent, I don't know, a tractor or something to go out here and work on and get your food plot ready. So everything that you could possibly need, seed, fertilizer, corn, rice bran, Pennington, Biologic, everything, they've got it, okay? And I was showing some of the pictures. Their storeroom, when they say they've got everything from, again, seed to rice bran, corn, whatever, if people on the live stream, look at that. I mean, it is these pallets with these bags of those things just stacked up all in their showroom. They are loaded down. So if you're a hunter, that's it. It's your one stop right there for deer season coming up. And I need to check with Jonathan. I'm certain they do. I know in years past they've also sold. You can buy shotgun shells, whatever gauge you're shooting during dove season right about now. So they'll have some of that stuff for you there also. More details coming up. All right, real quick, hey to Warren on the text line. Country Please and text 885 ESPN. He says he's got Pittsburgh winning over Tennessee, really, and it's at Tennessee, right? In the game in Nashville, the first one. I'm going to look at the schedule. This is what I was going to tell you, though. I always enjoy looking these up to kind of get a gauge of who's going to see what, because I live in Tupelo, North Mississippi, and there sometimes it can be hit or miss. Like I'm not like if you live in Jackson, you're getting the Saints games, whether they're on Fox or CBS on the weekends, whether it's noon or 3:30. You're getting them because they divide those windows up around the country depending on what games they think most people want to see in those areas. If you're in Jackson, you're getting Saints games. Well, in Tupelo, you don't always get them. And so it's a little iffy, and certainly for other states. So I just thought I'd look this up and kind of tell you for this weekend how the TV markets are divided up for the NFL games. Now, tonight's different. Tonight, NBC, it's a national deal. It's one game, whole country. You put on NBC, it's the season opener, Cowboys at Bucks. But you get into Sunday. Okay, so the noon games, you'll have games on CBS. You have some games on Fox at noon. And they alternate doing double headers. One weekend, CBS will have a double header. The next weekend, another have a double header. The other one, Fox will have a double header. So this weekend, for the noon CBS games, the state of Mississippi is divided basically in half. In fact, it's not straight up. It's like they come across on Highway 82. They hit 55 and draw a line down to Jackson, basically, and then go across on I-20 into Alabama. And anything below that little section that I just told you, anything below it is in the red. And on the CBS early, you're going to get Pittsburgh at Buffalo this week. Am I looking at the right ones? Yeah. You're going to get Pittsburgh at Buffalo. For North Mississippi, so anything north of that I'm talking about. So kind of like, again, go over to the Delta, draw a line across the Delta on 82. Yeah, it cuts down I-55 down to 20 and across. So anything north of that, up here where I live, we are in the orange on the map, which means we are getting the Arizona at Tennessee game. So, Warren, you had it off. Pittsburgh's not playing Tennessee. Pittsburgh's playing Buffalo. All right. So, again, if you're Jackson, you're Vicksburg, you're the coast, anything South Mississippi, pretty much, you're all going to get on the CBS early on Sunday. You're going to get the Steelers and Bills. It's in Buffalo. For those of us up here and all the way up through Tennessee, North Alabama, Memphis, all of us, we're all getting the Titans game. Titans hosting Arizona on Sunday, CBS early. Now, there's one little section, the southeast corner of Mississippi. So just right down there, Perkinston in that area, and right above the coast, and people in Biloxi, Gulfport in Mississippi. Right in the corner, they're going to get, for whatever reason, they're getting the Jaguars at Texans game as a part of this blob of blue that's on the kind of the southeast tip of Mississippi, the southeastern portion of Alabama, pretty much all of Georgia and that northern part of Florida where Jacksonville is it's all in blue on the map. So there's a few folks on the coast that if they turn on CBS early window on Sunday, they're getting Jacksonville at Houston for whatever reason. So there you go. That's us. Then CBS late window, which is the 3:30 games on Sunday, we are all getting Cleveland at Kansas City. Now, here's what's interesting about that. The entire country, in the CBS late window for broadcast on Sunday afternoon, the entire country is red for Cleveland at Kansas City, except the Miami New England game, a division game, the Dolphins and the Patriots, obviously. Dolphins, Patriots. That's going to be broadcast in the state of Florida, southern Georgia, all of the state of Alabama, and then up in New England, obviously. Everything in New England around the Patriots up there in Boston. There's only two little sections of the entire country that are blue that are going to get the Dolphins and Patriots game, and it happens to include the entire state of Alabama. Now, why? They're showing that game because it's two former Alabama quarterbacks, and that's why they're going to broadcast that one throughout the state of Alabama. They know to do a bigger rating. Isn't that interesting? Okay, and then I'll go quick here. On Fox at noon on Sunday, they're doing a doubleheader also. At Fox at noon Sunday, the early game, all of Mississippi is getting Eagles at Falcons. Like all of the southern and southeastern United States are all getting a Falcons-Eagles game. And then the Fox late window, the entire state of Mississippi, pretty much the whole country at 3:30 on Sunday afternoon on Fox will get Green Bay versus the Saints in Jacksonville. The other one opposite of that on Fox late window is the New York Giants hosting the Denver Broncos, but they're only showing that out in around the state of Colorado and then up in New York. The rest of the country is all going to get Packers and Saints. Just thought I'd pass that along so you kind of know what you're going to see on TV. And if you're a diehard NFL fan, that's no real revelation. You're used to knowing kind of what you're going to get based on where you live. I did find it interesting, though, that pretty much the whole country, 3:30 on CBS is going to get to watch the Chiefs game. And as a Chiefs fan, I always like that when it happens instead of having to go and look it up or watch highlights later or listen and those kinds of things. So,
it's kind of hard to believe that back in a few years ago that all this satellite technology wasn't around. Mm-hmm. You only got like one game.
That's right.
For the whole country.
Yeah, the whole country got one game. Well,
they couldn't split them up like they do now.
And that's why, like Monday Night Football, when it first came around, was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And of course, it was not a cable thing; it was a broadcast thing, right? Because it was ABC.
Yeah.
So Bill,
and now they do every game, but it's just divided up it's just strange how technology has just been a wonderful thing when it comes to football.
I mean, it really has.
And baseball.
It definitely has helped it to grow.
Living in California many moons ago, if there was a game on the East Coast that started at noon, it was 9 o'clock in the morning where I was.
Yeah.
So you had to remember to get up and turn on your TV at 9 to watch football.
Sure.
If you wanted to see a game.
If you wanted to see it, yeah.
Play in New York,
No doubt. Those weird time windows, it would be a weird time for you. No doubt
then they
about
came
it.
up with delaying stuff. They started to where they got to delay the broadcast.
As live.
Yeah. And now they don't do that anymore. Everything is just separated out.
Sure.
But it is weird to think that back then there was that's all you got.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a wonderful time to be alive, to be a sports fan, because if you want to see it, you can see it.
The choices are endless.
They really are. Okay, so let me be corrected.
That was my radio voice.
That was nice.
The choices are endless.
Warren, when he texted me Pittsburgh winning over Tennessee, I wasn't even thinking college football.
He was thinking college football.
Warren, I'm sorry. I start in on this NFL stuff. You say Pittsburgh, Tennessee. I'm like, wait a minute, the Steelers playing the Titans? You meant college football. The University of Pittsburgh versus the University of Tennessee. So it's in Knoxville. And that's what and Bull pointed that out. Yeah, Pitt playing against the Vols. I don't know. Like, what is anybody else saying about it? What's the line on it? I know that's
Pittsburgh playing sharpshooters, as Leonard.
Oh yeah, well, isn't that what
sharpshooters?
Leonard Postostes called them well, he named the coach back then Johnny Major sharpshooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that old guy was something else. Okay, Pittsburgh a slight favorite, and they're on the road, so it means people like Pittsburgh. You never know. Week 2 for a new football team. Tennessee after last week, I don't know how y'all felt about it, but I watched them. That was a week ago tonight, right? Because they played on Thursday night. Bowling Green wasn't good. Not up to it. I felt like Tennessee looked like a, pretty well put together team. They were pretty well coached and all that. And they went fast on offense. When they went hurry up on offense, they moved the ball a little better. And of course, they jump out to this big lead. And then all of a sudden the brakes just got thrown on and they had a couple 3-and-outs even. So you weren't surprised by the final score. They just kind of overwhelmed them. But I thought the final score was maybe a little misleading to make you think that Tennessee really played well, and I'm not sure they did all that. They played okay. They kind of whip up on a team that they just have better players than across the board. But they lacked a whole lot of continuity, especially in their pass game. They didn't throw it very well at all. The guy that transferred in there from Michigan looks the part. He's huge. He's 6'5", 240 pounds. He runs well. In that scheme under Josh Heupel, he's reading a lot and sometimes keeping the ball and running. Their running backs had a good night. But they threw for a really low completion percentage, and it was just they didn't have much continuity in the pass game at all. And it made you think, okay, look, they're not going to have 2 running backs go for 100 yards against most of the SEC defenses they play. They better get to where they can throw the football. So that's why I think, if Pittsburgh's legit ACC, maybe upper half of the ACC, which some people think they are, and, they are balanced, they probably have an advantage. Tennessee didn't look all that balanced to me last week. Just looked like a team that they don't have their legs under them yet. That was just the first game playing a team they were much better than. It's kind of how I felt about Tennessee. I don't know how y'all felt about it. We didn't talk a whole lot about it last Friday just because we were so excited about looking ahead to other games. But, I wouldn't be surprised, Warren, at all if Pittsburgh were to go in there and win. Wouldn't be surprised one bit. All right, let's see. Jeff, Sohn Superior Services. Jeff texted the show and said, Matt, I understand that Tampa are the favorites. I get it. But if Dallas pulls this off, how many excuses are we going to hear as to why Tom Brady didn't win? Yeah, it depends on how the game goes. Now, fans, Jeff, they're going to make a lot of excuses. There will be something. And then for a lot of fans, the blame will go somewhere else other than Tom Brady, for sure. We just got to see how the game goes. I'll just say this. I don't care how they do it. If the Cowboys win that game tonight, it'll be a monumental upset. I don't mean like a spread or the points, on the game, the line on the game, whatever we're saying here, who's the favorite and by how much. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about, the Cowboys are really fortunate to be in this game anyway, and they are just because they're a brand that draws eyeballs. When you get a first game out of the gates and involves a Super Bowl champion, it's usually a rematch, right, of who they played in the Super Bowl. This ought to be Tampa Bay Chiefs. But the schedule makers knew, with Dak coming back off the injury, Dallas having a horrible defense last year, and the fact that it is Dallas, you pair them against Tom Brady on the opening night, it's going to be a much bigger television rating than, frankly, would be a rematch with the Chiefs. That's just the truth. So that's why Dallas is in this game, as far as playing in the game. And now we throw some other things on top of this, Jeff. Dak took no snaps in a game in the preseason. He's a veteran at this point. It's not like he needs to play in a preseason game to know how to play football or how to go win. No. but there's a reason they all do it, is it gets you going. Okay, it's like I said with Tennessee, sort of get your feet under you before you actually have to start in games that count. They all go through. There's a reason to do it. Well, he didn't get to go through any of those snaps, played none of it. We're told he's full go, and I believe that he is. But the first snap he takes is going to be in a live ball game that counts. Everybody else on the field has had lots of preseason snaps. They're at a different stage than Dak is. The Cowboys are now not going to have Zach Martin for the most part. Well, I say for the most part. That's what we're being told for the most part, is not to expect their starting O-lineman Zach Martin to play. He's probably their best guy up there. Is that a big deal against Tampa? You bet it is. Not to mention it's in Tampa. Not to mention Tampa thinks they're better than they were the year before. All this stuff. I just think for all those reasons, look, Dallas is not supposed to win the game. But if they go in there and pull it off, oh, man. I'll go so far as to say this, Jeff. If Dallas wins that game tonight, tomorrow might be the one day of the year you'll want to flip on YouTube and see what the national guys had to say. It might be the one day of the year where it'd be worth doing that. Just to watch them try to come up with how wrong they were. It's a big if. I can't wait to watch. Just getting started with you. Long way to go. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech-Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech-Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and
More great sports for you, Mississippi.
Online transmission is ready, sir.
Live online at thezone1059.com and
Keep your radio turned on.
to ESPN 105.
I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Thanks for tuning in. If you're on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, feel free to comment over there. I can see it all in one place. Just roll one column. It's all right there, wherever you're watching. So type it in, hit, submit or comment, and post, and I'll see it. Like Will on YouTube says, the first snap of the game is going to be a handoff to Zeke. Take it to the bank. Is that a prop bet for you over there? Are they letting you do that? That may be one that's too obvious. Maybe on that one, Will. I got you. Now, I got a text here on the Country Pleasing text line. Well, first of all, from Evan, I said something about the Jaguars games being pumped into a certain part of the country, and he said, some of us love the Jags. He's a Jaguars fan. I got it, Evan. I always have to remember there are fans everywhere. Now, Mailman David, we're talking about, Dak didn't play at all in the preseason, and the fact that, there's a reason guys do. Now, Mailman David says, how many snaps did TB12 Tom Brady take in the preseason games? That's a good question, David. I looked at it. I know this. He threw 2 passes, completing one of them in the preseason. Okay, and that was the first preseason game he threw 2 passes. He completed one. And now, if he took some other snaps, they were handoffs. I guess he didn't play in any of the other games. Okay, so you're looking at probably somewhere between 2 and 5 plays that he played in the preseason. But one thing I had not thought of, I thought I'd look it up. Y'all remember? So now, Dak doesn't have a Super Bowl. Dallas didn't have one forever. So comparing the situations to what Tom was in and doing in New England, it's not a situational comparison at all. I'm just saying, I just became curious when you brought up Tom playing in the preseason, so I thought I'd look it up, David. You remember Tom Brady suffered a season-ending injury once in his career, too. You remember that? 2008 season. Early, was it the first game or whatever? He gets a torn ACL, out for the year. 2008. Dak, last year, when he got his season-ending injury, he was a few games into the year. But I was curious, what did Tom Brady do when he came back from that injury? We know that his career continued. He went on won a bunch more Super Bowls. But what about that first year for Tom Brady coming back after a season-ending injury? So I thought I'd look it up. Yeah, so 2008 was the first game of the year. It was hosting the Chiefs at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Tore his ACL, out for the year. He was 7 for 11 passing in that game before he tore his ACL and missed the whole season in 2008. And when he came back the next year, started all 16 games in 2009, threw for 4,398 yards, 28 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Now, those are just numbers. But if you look at just slightly more context, the year before Brady got hurt, he was at a little higher completion percentage. He was at 4,800 yards, 4,800. Got hurt the year he came back. He was at 4,300. The year before Brady got injured, he threw for 50 touchdowns. It's the most he's ever thrown in his career in a single season. Last year was his next closest with 40 touchdowns. But 50 touchdowns the year before he got hurt, came back the year after he got hurt, he threw basically half of that, 28. So for him, well, and for their franchise, right? Because they didn't win another Super Bowl until like 2012. So I know they played for one in there, maybe somewhere too. They won one in 05, maybe played for one in like 07, the year that he had the big numbers. He got hurt in 08, came back in 09, started all 16 games. Is great and all, but his numbers were actually, the year he came back from the injury, in some ways you could look at it, his numbers were as low as they've been throughout his career. He threw 13 picks that year he came back from the injury. Well, that's up there in terms of the most he's ever thrown in a season were 14. That year he threw 13. So, some of it could be team stuff, some of it could be other stuff too. I was just curious, but Brady, he came back and he was good, but after coming back from his season-ending injury, he was not his best, and that's for certain. The numbers back that up. Just thought I'd bring it up since you asked me about it. Hello on Facebook. Mark says he's listening from the Golden Triangle. For those that don't know what that is, it'd be Starkville, West Point, Columbus, right? Isn't that the triangle? Starkville, West Point, Columbus. Feel free to comment on the live stream. Y'all call me on the Davini phone, 995-1059, 601 number 995-1059. Yeah, all right. So everybody wants to do picks. Warren, who texted earlier, and he said he's picking Pittsburgh to beat Tennessee, and then he's asking me about North Carolina State and Mississippi State. I just kind of feel like North Carolina State has an advantage in a couple of areas. It does not necessarily mean they're going to win the game. When you look at kind of where they are in terms of the life of their program under this head coach, Dave Doran, and, all those kinds of things, they should have an advantage. They should. They're slightly older at some key spots. They are definitely more experienced in terms of snaps and number of games and number of starts in key spots. They're definitely a more experienced team. Again, that's not just a tried and true formula for winning all the time. Sometimes you still go out there and get beat because the other guys play better. This one being a road trip for them. State is going to improve from last week to this week. Some of the mistakes that State made against La Tech, they won't make them this week. Mississippi State's going to be a lot harder team to deal with this week than they were last week. Okay, but the same could be said for NC State. We have to see. One significant thing, too, I'll tell you this, Warren, for making your own picks, you can decide how much weight you put in this. But I looked it up last night and started counting it up, and I sent it out on Twitter because I think this is pretty significant. If you compare the North Carolina State offensive line with the Mississippi State offensive line and compare them by experience, combined starts at the position that they're going to start, the positions they're playing. So how much experience do they have starting at their positions that they're currently playing right now? For NC State's offensive line, it's 63 career starts at their positions. For Mississippi State, it's 15. I mean, that is a massive difference. Now, O-line doesn't go out there and play against O-line. I get it. But what I'm saying is, the O-line 9 times out of 10 determines who wins and loses. And whether they play well or not, whether they whip the D-line or not, O-line is so important. Well, theirs is so much more experienced than State's, especially at the positions they are playing right now. we've talked about this on our show. To another way to compare, just to show you what I'm talking about. North Carolina State's starting center is a guy named Grant Gibson. Grant Gibson has, in his career, started 25 games at center at his position. It means that one guy on NC State's O-line has more career starts at his position than all of Mississippi State's offensive line combined. You see what I'm saying? It's a big, huge difference in experience and veteran players and stuff on offensive line. And that's why I think Mississippi State's got some stuff they're going to have to overcome in order to win the game. But, watching NC State, their quarterback has a big arm. He's a guy who set records in high school in New Jersey and was their starter last year until he got hurt a couple of games into the year or 3 or whatever it was, missed, I guess, the last 7 games of their season last year. He's come back from the broken leg injury that he had. And against South Florida, he did some good things. He hit the wheel route first of the game for a touchdown. It's a really good play call and design, got him wide open against man. But he also missed some throws. He missed some open throws. He had some throws behind guys who were open. His interception was on a deep ball where the guy was way behind the defense and wide open, but he badly underthrew it. He has plenty of arm strength, but he badly underthrew it, so it was something else that led to it. So he wasn't perfect, but he did show that he can run their offense. He's capable. He's a good athlete, moves around well, will make yards with his legs. There's a lot of jump in his arm. The ball will get on out of there, so he can throw a deep ball when he lets it go. Ball carriers, a kid named Persons who is a good runner, receiver out of the backfield. But I just think for them and for the game, it kind of comes down to the line of scrimmage. That'll determine if you win or lose. I think if State plays well and eliminates a bunch of mistakes up front, they'll stay in the game and maybe have a chance. State turns it over or gives up sacks. It could get ugly. And there's not, I'll tell you this, across the board, there ain't a whole lot of difference in the talent on the two football teams. It's pretty similar, actually, I think. The big difference between the two is one team is much more experienced than the other. We'll see how that plays out. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Y'all stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to 5G.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Design a jean. And before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. And at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them. BlueDeltaJeans.com. A couple weeks ago, went in. I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's Virtual Tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code
Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
With Jake Wimberly. Weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 1059. The Zone.
Are you ready? Brace yourself.
Now back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
All right, back with you live in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. We got some stats over here from Will. He said NC State ran all over South Florida, 293 rushing yards on 40 attempts. Mississippi State pretty good against the run if you remove the busted play where Kendall ran 59 yards for a touchdown. La Tech had 42 yards on 25 attempts. That's it. And they, they're pretty solid against the run. They were last year. They were Saturday outside of one play. So I think that it's one where NC State's probably coming into the game, Will, thinking that they are going to have to be a little more balanced on offense. They'll have to mix in some more throws at times because they'll be in situations to do that. Now, will they want to establish the run? Yeah. Are they going to try to? I would think so. But again, it'll be an incremental thing to let the game get going and see how it goes. And they will have, if you were to look at their first 10 to 15 scripted plays, that they're planning on running to start the game in a normal down distance situation, I bet that it involves more runs, like a higher percentage of run plays in those first 15, and then get into the game and see how it goes. And if they can't, if State's going to stack or man a bunch or just pressure, and there's nowhere to run the football, they're going to have to put it in the air and then see if they can complete it. They probably know that watching Zach Arnett defense film last year and even going back before that. They probably, know that and understand that. Garrett on Periscope says, how much of Will Rogers' lack of arm strength hinders the flow of the offense in your opinion? Garrett, it doesn't. And I don't know. I'm not real sure where. I don't really know where all this, some of that stuff comes from. Garrett, look, man, there are people who, they, whether it's on social media or on, fan sites or whatever it is, that take certain things, just run with it as if it's fact. What I'm telling you, Garrett, is there's no arm strength issue for Will Rogers. I mean, does maybe sometimes a ball come out a little different? Sure. Is he Brett Favre? No. There ain't many that are. Okay, but there's not an arm strength issue. If there was, he wouldn't be playing. And that idea is a little bit, I don't know, like it's just weird. Like people come up with something. Why? I mean, based on what? Show me the play. When people go, arm strength issue, Will Rogers. Okay, show me the highlight. Which play? Tell me which play we're talking about. I'll go back and watch it. I can show you. Where's it coming from? What are you basing it on? Like nobody's putting a gun on him like a pitcher coming off the mound. Well, I can see it to the naked eye. Well, I can too, and I know what I'm talking about. They ain't an arm strength issue. It's just weird to me how stuff like that just becomes, I don't know. Look, Garrett, you and I as fans, we have to be protective of our attention. Okay? We've got to be, we got to treat our attention like it is of great value, because let me tell you, to people out there putting content out, whether it be a written article or a video or a radio show or podcast, or people doing fan sites or whatever, our attention is valuable. Everybody wants our attention. Okay. And what I'm telling you is, as a fan, I'm trying to learn to do this too, and I'm trying to practice it. I am protecting my attention like it is very, very valuable. I don't give my attention to just anybody or anything. They have to really prove to me they know what they're talking about. And then be a skeptic. Always be a skeptic. Don't just take what someone says and just take it for fact. So-and-so over there said it. That includes me. And for me, I don't mind anybody checking out anything that I'm putting out there. Because number one, I feel pretty good about it. Number two, if I'm wrong, I can handle being wrong. It's not like I'll just admit it. Okay, I was wrong. You learn from it. Sometimes it's good to learn where you're wrong. But what I'm telling you is, as a consumer, as a fan, whether it's some other fan says something, or even in some cases, some media, they float some idea out there, be skeptical of all of it. Protect your attention, and then learn to give your attention to somebody or something worthy of it. Not everything is. Now, I'm just telling you, somebody's spinning something out here saying Will Rogers got some drastic lack of arm strength. They're not worthy of your attention. That's what I'm telling you. All right, Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer, the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. Hank Dog on line one. Thanks for calling, Hank. What's up?
Hey, Matty boy. I hope this is worthy of your attention. I graduated in '75 up there.
Okay.
And ever since Bob Tyler left, we have had an issue with players taking plays off. That's one thing I hope to see improve from last week. And if I were the coaches up there, the first clown I saw taking a play off, I'd yank his tail and sit it on the bench, because I'd rather have a second or third stringer in there who's going to give every play. That's my opinion. Ought to be yours. Thank you.
Hank, I appreciate the call. I would say to you, that's a pretty broad stroke opinion to say something like that and say we're going to go all the way back to, who was it? Bob Tyler? That states had some sort of abnormal issue with players taking plays off. Now, yeah, I mean, you can't put up with it if you have players taking plays off. I'll tell you this. I played on the team for 5 years. 4 of those years was playing and not redshirting. And 3 of the 4 years I was playing, we had really good teams. We won a lot of games. We won our division. 1 year we won 10 games. And I'm just telling you, we didn't have people taking plays off, offense or defense. Okay, so that's 1 4-year period of time since Bob Tyler. I can scratch it off the list. Okay, and so, Hank, what I would tell you, now, on the premise of the idea, sure, if you've got a player that just kind of loafs or takes plays off, you better address it. But on the big, broad paintbrush that is about 35 or 40 years wide, and we're painting the whole thing as this one particular school's got an issue with players taking plays off, I don't know about that. but I appreciate the call. Teddy, Ready Teddy on line 2. What's up, Teddy?
Man, I was wanting two points I'd like to make. I want to chime in on the false narrative about Will Rogers' arm strength, but I want people to think about something. If you think about to Joe Burrow and LSU, and then you go to Devonta Smith, who won the Heisman last year. Elijah Moore had a great year, and then for Ole Miss this year, Dontaria Drummond. You know, it's not the 40 and 50-yard through-the-air bombs that get all the yards. It's those 12-yard slants and stuff that you get your ball in the hands of your talent. And that's where your yards come from. So I don't understand what people's obsession is with a 40 and 50-yard bomb. That's a low percentage pass. So my point is, he's got plenty of arm strength to do what he needs to do and to do his job well is what I'm saying.
I agree with that, Teddy. You almost never throw a ball past 40 yards, 40 to 45 yards up the field during the course of a game anyway. And you think about the hash marks. You know, if people are talking about deep ball stuff, if the ball's in the left hash and you're throwing it up the right sideline, you're still the farthest you're ever putting the ball in the air is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50, 55. And that's once every 3 or 4 games it might happen where you have that opportunity. It's fun to have a throwing contest. I've been a part of them back in the day. You get on the goal line, see who you can throw it. Throw it 65 yards in the air. Wow. Throw it 70 yards in the air. Wow. That's great. Well, guess what? You almost like quite literally never throw the ball that length during a ball game. The offense doesn't allow it. When you snap the football, you have a certain time frame the ball has to come out if you're throwing a go route, or you're going to get hit. They can only protect for so long, right? And so if I let it go on time, I'm throwing it into a bucket out there at about 45 yards, and that's where my receiver, if he runs a 4-4 with a free release, that's where he's going to intersect the football. The other thing is we go, well, velocity on throws to the sideline. Well, velocity is a whole lot less important than is the ball catchable? Is it there at the right time? When the timing's right on routes, I don't have to throw a fastball. Okay? And the other thing is, during the course of a football season, you almost never have a receiver come back to you in the huddle and say, hey, man, throw it harder. But you will always have a receiver come back to you and say, hey, man, take a little bit off of it. Don't drill me like that. I was only 5 yards away. So that, to me, I mean, it's just it is a false narrative. Teddy, listen, the music has started, and I took up your phone call time. If you've got something else, will you hang on?
Yeah, I'm going down a long country highway, so I'm here.
Okay, hang on for me, and we'll pick it back up where we left off when we come back to start hour number 2, right here in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis.
This doesn't always mean.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country-pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C-Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C-Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C-Spire, went and did curbside at my local C-Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C-Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
Shop in-store, online, or try curbside pickup today. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
WRKS Pickett's Jackson.
Time.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Here we go. Hour number 2 of the show. Off and running with you. We're going to start off on the phone line, kind of pick up where we left off at the end of hour 1. And I'll come to your comments and some of your texts on the text line as well. RT and Rep Dog and Anthony and Rebel Tiger Dog and Fletcher and Lynn, Jason, Patrick, and everybody on the text line coming to you. Just hold tight. First up, Ready Teddy's here. I cut him off earlier, or the music did, and now we're back. Teddy, thanks for hanging on, man. You got the floor.
All right. Yeah, my point was a quarterback doesn't have to be able to throw it to the moon in order to move his, to do his job. That was my first point.
Right.
But a second thing you may find interesting, I know you're not much into all the point spreads and all that kind of stuff, but and something interesting that I've seen before last weekend, Ole Miss was 40-1 to win the SEC championship game. So through all the turmoil with LSU not losing and Ole Miss playing well and A&M kind of not killing it, after the weekend, Ole Miss went to a 22-1 odds to win the SEC championship game in 1 week. In 1 weekend, it's just more so than the gambling odds, just the national perception of what changed with 1 weekend in college football.
I'm telling you, yeah, a little bit of a flip-flop in our SEC West that you're pointing out right there, at least in terms of perception. Now, 1 week can fool you on a lot of different fronts if you're not careful.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody knows that, and in the gambling world, they don't really care about that. It's a little bit of a different thing. But yeah, A&M, like they're so talented and highly recruited across the field, but they're out there playing with this first-year quarterback who not only is first-year starter, but he ain't played any hardly coming into this year, and it was real up and down. And of course, like LSU, they're super highly recruited, yeah, but boy, did they look like they've got a few issues. Yeah, they certainly do. Whereas Ole Miss, we know what they are on offense, and it's almost like, Teddy, the whole country was watching it going, all right, let's see. Are they any better on defense? Any better at all? And even though Louisville did not appear to have much of a clue on offense, the fact that Ole Miss shut them out in the first half, you know what I'm saying? It was way more physical and tackling. Everybody went, yeah, okay, well, they've added a piece or two. They're going to be better on defense, which means they probably win another game or two and challenge. Yeah, so it's funny how 1 weekend can swing you back and forth. I will be honest with you, from my own perspective, David, after last year, I promised myself that I wouldn't swing too far one way or the other after the first week. Last year after the first week of the season, the narrative was, the tale was, State just went and beat the defending national champions. Their quarterback threw for 600 yards, set an SEC record in his first game in the air raid. State's about to take over. Well, not only did they not take over, they lost the next 4 games or whatever it was. The very next week, they were hosting Arkansas and threw more touchdowns to Arkansas than to State. So I got to be careful about week 1 stuff.
That's right.
Yeah,
all right, thank you, man.
Thanks, Teddy. Appreciate the call. Hey, Bill, is David still hanging on?
Yes, he is.
Let's go there. Line 1, David, thanks for being patient. What's up?
Hey, man, this is my analogy of what State did offensively and about his arm strength. He's taking what the defense is giving him. They're not giving him the deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the style of offense that they run, they know they're capable of scoring on any one given play. So they're keeping everything in front of them. And since the LSU game last week, he hadn't been able to throw the ball deep based on the defense that they were playing. And I noticed in the game the other day, each time I would say to myself, throw it to the back in the flat, he would throw it across the middle, and he completed them. But they're doing what the defense is giving them as opposed to forcing it downfield, and they're playing 2 deep safety or man-to-man underneath or whatever. He's just taking what they're giving them. So why would you throw into double coverage or 2 deep safety, and the chances are you're not going to complete that pass?
Right. I agree with you, David, that you look and if you put the ball in the air as much as they do, then it's natural. Every defense is going to protect against giving up easy touchdowns. Well, what are easy touchdowns? Just what you said, throwing it over our head. We're going to keep you in front of us. You know, the times that defenses have jumped into some pressure looks or some man-to-man stuff against that offense over the years has been one of two things. Either they had outstanding corners and could do it, Alabama, okay, or, could do it more often, or they're getting eaten alive by the consistency of the underneath intermediate pass game, and they have no choice but to try something different. And so you kind of haven't gotten to that point enough yet, but you're exactly right. They're going to keep you in front of you. They're always got safeties, and they're also always looking for ways to have deep coverage outside. So that takes away the catch, 1, 2, 3, boom, throw the deep ball up the sideline. That is a throw that they hadn't even tried much because the defense, they're saying, we're just going to take that away, right? Because they know the Mike Leach offense reps that so much that State's actually going to complete a higher percentage of those if you give it to them, just like you said, watch the LSU game last year. So teams have adjusted. And you're right, so much of the short throws, people think that it's people who don't know football, David, they think that a short throw, short completion is I'm scared to throw it deep, or 2, I don't have the arm strength to throw it farther down the field, which is asinine on both fronts. Hey, David, thanks for the call.
Okay, man.
Yep. Appreciate it. I think David had a really good point. Glad he hung on to make it. All right, let's see here. Country Pleasing text line. It's funny what we get into. It is sometimes interesting what we get into. Patrick on the Country Pleasing text line says, if you're a State fan and still criticizing about last week's game, there's the door. I'm sure the team left the game moving on to this Saturday. Oh, yeah, they moved on a lot faster than a lot of fans have. I tell you, the gross negativity by some, in some circles to me. I just don't get it, man. I do not understand it. Jason in Flagstaff says, he says, I don't know. State needs to run more than 14 times by the running backs. If not, I don't see how the offensive line doesn't struggle if they couldn't block La Tech's 3 or 4 men front. Jason said, too many people conflate. That's a good word. Conflate. I'm going to have to look that one up. Conflate Will's arm strength with not having time to throw deep. It's entirely two different things. Well, and like we say, time, Jason, time is also a lot more nuanced also than is it available? We're not throwing it if it's not available to us. Access is a term that is used a lot. If you were to go to quarterbacks meetings or go to a quarterback coaching clinic or an offensive coaches clinic, you'd hear lots of different terms for this and that and this coverage. But one of the things they'll use, a term they'll use a lot in passing game stuff is quote unquote access. Or, the take. In RPO offenses, there's a take. Are they giving us the take? Which means on the snap, are they just backing off and giving me cushion out here? And I may have a screen or a hitch. And that's my take if they give me cushion. Well, they give me cushion, I just take it, catch it, throw it. Well, you and I are watching a game and we think, oh, they called a bubble screen. Well, no, they actually had 3 plays called, possibly 4. That's just the first option. He lined up, he saw the cushion, snap, catch, throw. Had they not given him cushion, he's going, without saying a word, he's going to catch, put it in the belly of the back, read that 6th defender on the edge of the box. If he steps down, I pull it, and Matt Corral throws it to the tight end running wide open right behind him. If he widens or stays there, I give it to the back. We make 4 yards, line back up again. Or I read something else, pull it and run it. All these different things. Okay. So access, the point I'm talking about is access. In the pass game, you'll hear that. And based on certain coverages, they'll go, okay, we're lining up with 3 by 1, 3 receivers, 1 receiver over here, 3 over here. and they give us this cloud look, okay? But because of the safety's there and because of the corner depth, we got access now to read this particular high-low over here. Well, now I'm going to read it. Now it's possible I may throw it because of how they lined up. It ain't about what I want to do or what I can do. It's about what they're willing to let me try to do until I can move them and manipulate them. It's a game of manipulating each other. So that's another way to look at it. You go, well, not having time. Because time, here's my point on time and deep balls. Everybody hear this. This is a fact. This is the thing about having time to throw and deep balls. I'm not joking. This is absolute literal fact. If I'm a quarterback in the shotgun and I've got, let's say, what we would call cover one or man free, which is man-to-man coverage on everybody with a free safety in the middle of the field back there. He's the only one that's roaming around without a man-to-man responsibility. And on the outside over here, my outside receiver lined up on the numbers has got bump man-to-man coverage. And I know, and I'm confident, he's going to beat him off the line of scrimmage and start running past him. So I already know it's man free. I'm catching this football, and I'm going to throw the deep ball, Jason, up the right sideline of the numbers on a go route because I've got man free. And he's my fastest guy. Let's say he runs a 4.4. I'm in the shotgun. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to catch the snap. I'm going to go 1-2 and let it go. I'm not even waiting. Because if I hitch and wait and to see him run past him and then throw it, I'm going to have to throw it 50-something yards and him run under it. But the timing we work on in practice is catch, 1-2, zip. And I'm throwing it to a bucket at 45 yards because that's his timing that he's going to run under it. So like on a man-to-man go route, I don't need much time. I'm throwing it. And oh, by the way, I'm throwing it 45 yards because it's a deep ball up the field because that's what he's going to run under. See, when we start talking about time, having time to throw, what takes the most time? Crossing routes. You give me a mesh or an underneath crossing route where it's zone and therefore these two guys are going to have to cross each other and then find my throwing lane and where they're hooking up against the zone. That takes a lot longer than throwing a deep ball. If I complete it to one of those guys, it's only 7 yards. But everybody's going, oh, well, he's holding the ball too long. Yeah, he is, because they dropped everybody. And now we're right back to what Mike Leach said. And I blocked 3 rushers with 5 guys. And here's the thing about it. Do the math on that for a second. If they're rushing 3 and you're blocking with 5, how many one-on-one pass rushes are we doing? At least 1, right? Right? I can't double team 3 guys with 5. Do the math. So that's what I'm saying. A whole lot of this comes down to one-on-one. And we go, I can't believe 5 guys can't block 3. I mean, Mike Leach will say it because that's what he expects. But when you pare it down, let's just say on this particular play, on the film from a game last year, a team rushes 3 versus 5 linemen, and it's the left tackle who winds up in one-on-one. It's just him and his guy, just me versus you. Either you beat me or I beat you. That's it. So we can say, quote unquote, the offensive line, had a bad play. Well, no, really, it was just that guy. That one guy had a bad play because it was one-on-one. So when you really start paring these things down, so much of it comes down to one guy doing what he's supposed to do. You can, a lot of times, get it right on down to a one-on-one thing. All right, more of your text messages coming up. Brandon is hanging on line 1. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, man, I love you guys. I love your show. I tried to call the other day, and then it went to break, and I had to go back, get on a freaking conference call. But I don't want to start the conversation again. It's not what this phone call is about. But I wanted to mention the targeting on the Ole Miss and Louisville game. Mm-hmm. Here's my deal. Nowadays, used to it was just pocket passers. Nobody really ran. And now you have the dual threat quarterback, running and passing. And when I'm an Ole Miss fan, but when you've got the Louisville quarterback or Matt Corral, and they're running, and they're upright, and you are a defensive player, and you go and you're already in motion to tackle them around the waist, and they slide. I know they're a defensive player or a whatever you call it, player.
Yeah.
But when you are, as a defensive player, when you are aiming at that waistline or leg, when they go down, your helmet is going to hit their helmet. Mm-hmm. That's the problem that I have with this. Is it's not there. There were a couple of targeting calls, like Louisville hit one of our guys on a blind side block, and it was blatant, whatever. But walk me through when you're a defensive player and you're already in motion forward, and it's not intentional. You can tell it's not intentional. But you are out to tackle this guy, and then he slides at the last minute. You can't stop your range of motion. Walk me through that.
Yeah, you can't. And it's all about here's the thing, Brandon. I think it's all about like the lean in your body. Like once you start leaning forward, once I begin to run in a certain direction and I allow my momentum to move into the upper part of my body, okay, and I lean forward.
You can't stop it.
Right, and my shoulders are over my toes. You know, getting out over your skis, sort of that. My momentum's taking me forward. I can't really stop it. Okay, so
no.
So the other thing is the dipping of your head. And it's happening so fast. And if I go back and look at that play where Matt Corral is sliding and two defenders come in there and they pop his head hits the turf, which the ground is what causes most concussions. But anyway, when I go back, if I slow it down, I can find in there where I can go, well, maybe these guys have got to find a way to keep their face up, where if there's any contact, it's with their face mask and not their helmet, whatever. But then when you watch it in full speed, I have a hard time giving you a straight answer, Brandon, because I don't know. I'm not out there trying to coach guys on it every day. It just seems like you would have to tell them, look, when this quarterback is running, you're going to have to tackle with your chest and with your hands and with your arms. You can't tackle. You can't. If it's an angles thing where he's on a 0 angle up the field and you're on about a 25 degree down the field and you're going to meet, you just got to keep your shoulders and head back somehow. You got to go into him chest first. That's all I could think of, because
but here's my counterpoint to that. What if Matt didn't slide and ran right past those guys?
That's it. Well, if
you can act like you're going to slide. I've seen it many times. You can act like you're going to go down, and then you just dart to the left and pass those guys by. It's just, it just. And I'm an Ole Miss fan. Look, don't get me wrong, but that call is, like you said, it's going so fast that those guys have already committed to the tackle at the waist. And that's all I got. I'll just hang up and I love
Brandon,
your show. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. The issue you bring up is one that, I honestly don't know the answer. I don't know what you would tell a guy. I really don't. A few years ago, we were calling a game. It was Mississippi State at Kansas State. And early in the game, the safety for Mississippi State was Mark McLaurin, a kid from Collins. Y'all remember Mark. And it was early in the game, and he's coming up the far sideline, coming straight down the sideline. Ball carriers coming straight up the sideline. And when they're about to meet, you could see McLaurin intentionally holds up and starts to kind of catch the ball carrier as opposed to laying into him. And Mark was a big hitter. Y'all will remember that. But he intentionally sort of stopped and then caught the ball carrier. And when he did, he brings his head back. The ball carrier runs smooth over him, but he hung on for the tackle. But it was a big lick. And all the fans are like, ooh, and you're like, well, he gave up another yard by tackling him that way. And I said on the broadcast, and it was right, It's just one play I remember. Had Mark tackled this guy head on, he's absolutely going to get called for targeting and get thrown out, even though the offensive player himself was leaned forward coming in there head first. It was a smart play by Mark to let the crowd have their ooh-ah moment, but catch him and stay in the ball game. That's what we've come to. And I bring that up, Brandon, to say maybe that's what we've come to on quarterbacks escaping from the pocket. Anytime, not when they're going right or left, but anytime they're going vertically up the field, maybe that's what we've come to, is you simply have no choice as a defender if you want to stay in the ball game to, number one, assume they're going to slide. Therefore, number two, you go in there chest first at a great risk of missing a tackle if he doesn't slide. You got no choice. And I just think if your players are doing that to avoid a target and to be able to stay in the game in those situations, then as a defensive coach, it's every single defensive coach's responsibility to recognize it. And you can't chew the kid out because of doing it. You've got to be, the coach has got to be aware. You're asking him to be physical and make tackles and all that kind of stuff and separate guys from the football and cause fumbles and stuff. Yeah, sure, you got to be able to do that. Well, but in that situation, he's just simply trying to stay in the ball game. That's all I know to say. You know, and if we keep going, then maybe we get to a point where every college football game is like an NBA game. It's 125 to 124. Maybe that's what they want. Y'all stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beechnut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beechnut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O instant pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O instant pudding.
Zell. Streaming online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 1059 The Zone.
Now to get back to our little talk.
Right here on the Matt Wyatt Show.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Staying connected to you because of C-Spire. We got a lot of texts over here on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is the best, hands down. You can get it in grocery stores. Yeah, I get mine in Walmart. Let's go to Walmart and buy. They got lots of different flavors of Country Pleasin' sausage. I finished up what I had left of my black pepper and cheese flavored sausage this morning, mixed in a little jalapeno and cheddar. Whew, it was good. Good stuff. Lynn texted the show and said, Matt, do you think that maybe people can't tell about his arm and just think it's not great because they can't see the zip on the ball out of his hand? Just a thought. I'm with you, though. He has plenty of arm to do the job successfully. Yeah, it's not an arm strength issue at all. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know where some of it comes from. Does he have Michael Vick's arm? No. Who does? Fletcher says, sorry, Matt, this thing where State might get blown out, I don't buy it. He says, after the way we played last game, if we have any pride, we go out there and we play our butts off, win, or make it real close. He says, this is not Bama, it's NC State. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that was my take, was it? Maybe that's someone else's take. It ought to be a competitive ball game. I do think there's some built-in advantages for NC State. They are more experienced. Their offensive line has loads more experience, and in the system, obviously. You're not breaking in new guys. They have veteran guys. I was pointing this out earlier, but their NC State's starting center has more starts at his position than Mississippi State's offensive line combined, all of it. Just put it in perspective. So they've got some experience advantages, but that doesn't always spell win. It doesn't. It just makes it, maybe they handle road trips better. Maybe they handle the ups and downs of a game better. Maybe they're a little more consistent. I don't know. But I do know State will play better. Anthony from Tupelo says, I want my quarterback to be able to throw receivers open and get it out in 3 and 3.5 seconds. And what do we mean by that, Anthony? What do we mean by I get the 3 to 3.5 seconds? Actually, I'll tell you this, 3 seconds is a pretty long time back there on most plays. Most successful pass plays don't take anywhere near 3 seconds to get it out of there if you really get down to it. But Anthony, a lot of people say, throw receivers open. What do you mean by that? How do we define that? What are the examples of that? What are we talking about? Throw receivers open. What are we saying? Rep Dog. He texts the show. He says, I believe that the number one thing that Alabama has over every other program is that they never take a play off. Rep Dog. They don't, do they? They know somebody's waiting on them if they do. They also know another 5-stars over there will take their job pretty quick. He says whether they're up big or down to the other team, they play with elite focus and intensity. I also think that the last aspect of Leach's culture change to take effect is the concept of playing every play the same way. And my exception is that this game, let's see, what do you say? And the way they came back makes that happen. If it does, this team could be very good. Well, yeah, it could. They could. They could be good. They've got some of the pieces now. Especially you start to whip into shape your continuity on the offensive side. Pass rush, get a little more pass rush going. And that's not going to get any easier week to week for sure. Denzel texted and said, Matt, during y'all's time at State, did you ever have a set number of plays that you ran on offense to start the game? Like Sean Payton has X amount of different plays he runs to start the game. Yeah, we scripted plays. Now, and that's dependent on it being a normal situation. But yes, everybody kind of like forever has done that, Denzel. And they still do. Most teams, not all. I guess there's some people are different, but most teams, you'll have a thing that goes, okay, we're gonna script the first 12 plays. Let's say that we're going to look at somewhere between 9, 10 to 12 plays that it would take us to score if we do this right. And so we're going to script the first 12 plays. We're going to go ahead and practice these plays in the same order over and over again the last part of the week of practice so that we can start the game strong. And that we can get off to a start where everybody knows what they're going to do on every play. And then we'll start calling things and working things in according to the other team, which becomes a little less of a known that everybody's going to know what to do, right? Does that make sense? So you script 10 plays that you can execute. You like them against that defense. You feel like they're going to work to get you off to a good start. But what happens a lot of times is, let's say you don't get the ball first. Okay, so the other team gets it first. We deferred. Well, and then our defense goes out and intercepts a pass on the other team's 35-yard line going in. So we're 1st and 10 at the 35 going in. We're already in field goal range to start the ball game. And we've been working all, the last 2 days on this first 12-play script. Do we hold that for the next possession if it starts at 25 and just adjust here? Or what? So some things can really throw it out of whack. Bass Dog texted the show. He said, does it not take a certain amount of arm strength, he says, to accurately and on time deliver balls in the short and middle passing game? Bass Dog says, because Rodgers does that pretty well. He says, just because it doesn't travel 60 yards in the air doesn't mean he doesn't have a strong arm. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm past it. Like, listen, there are hundreds of players every year coming out of high school with the quote-unquote arm strength to play in college. Right? Right. Hundreds and hundreds. And 13 of the 14, maybe even all 14. I'll even go so far as to say all 14. All 14 SEC schools. You're a Southeastern Conference school and the best conference in America in college football. All 14 of them every year are easily signing players with plenty of arm strength. It's just a prerequisite. It ain't even a thing. It's just they have it. The question is, do they have all the other stuff? All the other stuff's the hard stuff. There's hundreds of kids never even get close to signing with an SEC team that, frankly, have plenty of arm strength to throw passes for an SEC team. I'm serious. It ain't the deal. Right now, the deal is I'm going to the phone. The Davini Equipment phone line. Chomp, chomp. Hadn't heard from him in a little while. Here he is. Gator Greg on line 1. What's up, Greg?
Well, Mr. White, what did you think of South Florida when you studied them this week? I know you saw the tape with them in NC State. What did you think about this one? I'm just curious a little bit. They didn't look like they had a whole lot. I understand maybe why Strickland maybe scheduled this game in Tampa, probably to try to recruit to that market down there. I mean, and then you have Alabama looming there, but I know you had to prepare. What did you think of South Florida?
They're kind of small at certain spots on defense, and that's a big reason they gave up so many rushing yards to NC State, Greg. They're okay in their secondary. They're fast enough. They have an Auburn transfer back there, but kind of overall they lack size on defense and got pushed around real bad. Of course, NC State's offensive line pretty good. But then offensively, they have a transfer quarterback, a guy who used to be at North Carolina, and you can tell he's got ability. And they have some speed on offense too. But, man, they didn't have it whipped into shape. Early in that game, 3 different times in the first quarter, really the first quarter and a half of the game, 3 different times they got guys behind the NC State defense, got him in a man-to-man deal with a guy wide open where if one was on a crossing route, one was on a deeper crossing route, and one was on a deep ball, and if the quarterback hits it, they're all touchdowns. He just missed them. 3 absolute scoring opportunities. So what I see for them is they don't have size on defense. It's going to be really hard for them to do anything to stop Florida from running the ball and getting shoved around. And offensively, they just, with the transfer QB and everything, they just look to me like they don't have the, what's the word I'm looking for, continuity to hit those plays when you do get them. And they're about to play a better group of athletes this week than they played last week. Does that help?
Well, a little bit. I think the games with Mississippi State and Florida kind of were similar last week, where both the teams jumped out early, 14-0, and then, I don't know, for some reason, maybe the first game, they seemed like they just kind of, just maybe relaxed a little bit and then picked it back up. But talk about this one. I hear your music in the background. Talk about this game tonight with Dak facing Brady for the second time.
All right,
I
let's do it.
Appreciate it, Mr. Wild.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate you. Always good to hear from you. Yeah, South Florida, not a very good football team right now. I mean, Florida ought to do what they want to do. But again, week 1 to week 2, some crazy stuff happens sometimes. Florida can play a lot better than they did. Greg just told you that. He's exactly right. They probably will, knowing Mullen. All right. He wants Cowboys. I got some Cowboys for you coming up next. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi. And that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it.
So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Or
Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and worldwide online at thezone1059.com.
All right, I got a text from RT. I was going to read it to you here. RT texted me. It was a string of texts, and they're all pretty interesting, I think. RT, thanks for listening. Thanks for texting the show in the country, please, and text line. He says, my uncle is Shorty McWilliams, but I'm an Ole Miss fan. Both parents and my sister went to Ole Miss, but I really appreciate your unbiased opinion on things, State and Ole Miss. Very refreshing. He then says, I went to SMU, Arch Manning's landing spot. Hopefully goes to Ole Miss, but I'm good either way. RT said, Arch is best friends with my college roommate. So I'm your go-to guy in Arch's recruiting, FYI. and he recognizes the humor in that. He said, the talent at SMU could sway any red-blooded male. Well, what are you talking about right there, RT? No, I understand. I pick up what you're putting down. And then he says that Shorty McWilliams, his uncle, would grab my collarbone and watch me squirm when I'd see him. Hey, look, didn't we all growing up know an old guy that would do that to us just for fun? What was that? Why? Didn't we all know an old guy who he'd grab our collarbone and make us, ow, ow, let go. Or he'd squeeze the back of your neck right there on your little, what do you call that? What's that on that muscle in the back of your neck? The trap? Is that your trap? Is that what that is? Yeah. Or something. Whatever that is. And then, I had a guy, some of y'all are old enough to remember, there was, back in the 80s, on those Bo Jackson teams, some of the early ones, there was a defensive back at Auburn named Chip Powell, who he intercepted a bunch of passes in his career and stuff. He was a really good defensive back player for Auburn named Chip Powell. Well, Chip was from Prattville, and he was older than me, and I know Chip. Chip now is on the radio doing the Prattville High School games. He's a great guy. But his dad, who was a state representative, might have been a senator. I don't know, one or the other. But Chip's dad was Horace Powell. And when I was in high school, there in Prattville, Mr. Horace, he was an older guy at that point. And every time I'd see him, he'd get the biggest kick out of, I'd shake his hand, and he would grab my hand, and on purpose, he'd pull me in and then start bending my thumb back. He'd be like, just bend it back. Ow, let go. He's going to break my throwing hand. Old fella. And he was strong. And then he had several. Why did he do that? Why did old guys get a kick out of doing that? I'm not sure I understand. Hey, real quick, this is for Gator Greg. He wanted to have just a real quick something about tonight. Now, we touched on it earlier. Huge game tonight. Can't wait to watch. You got Dak versus Tom, Cowboys versus Bucks, bad team versus great team from last year, and it's the first game of the year and all this stuff. Well, Tom Brady says, I don't care about last year. This is a whole new year.
Well, I think it's a whole nother year. I don't think, what we did, no one could take away from us. So in one way, you're not really defending it much. It's kind of in the books, and, they can't take away what we've done. It's really just a whole nother year and experience. So I think it's just more of, we got a chance to go out and play the 2021 team the best we possibly can. I think our coaches have put us in a great position to be successful. Our personnel department, Jason's done a great job, and we got a lot of continuity, got a lot of things to build on, a lot more experience together. So that's really all you can ask for as players, is to be in the position that we're in. So I just like us to go out and take advantage of that.
Everybody like Tom Brady sound bites? What about Dak Prescott sound bites?
Yeah, I mean, that's why my fire burns, to be honest. I've always been doubted, always been considered, as you said, the underdog. From being the little brother to now in the NFL, people find ways to doubt me, and I just think it's fun, and I embrace those challenges. This is just the one at the present time.
Okay, tonight, 7:20 kickoff on NBC. All right, over to the phone line, Davini Equipment phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson, your one-stop shop for your food plot, seed, corn, rice bran, whatever. It'll even rent you the equipment to get it done. That's at Davini Equipment. First up is Joy on line 1. Hello, Joy.
That's Joey.
Joey on line 1. Joey!
Hey, you know, Matt, before Shorty Mac Williams was a bulldog, he was a wild cat.
Okay.
So he is from the Queen City, and him and my grandfather, who started Mississippi Food Services, the yellow sandwich labels you get in the hospital.
Yeah.
My grandfather created that in his kitchen, Tomb Suba, Mississippi. And so him and Shorty were buddies. And my grandfather, Dean Thomas, got a big P.O., and he bought him a new Cadillac, and he was frugal with his money, because I remember as I was growing up, he always had nice stuff, but he was still real frugal with his money. And but that was something he splurged on. And he bought that Cadillac, and him and Shorty took off for Destin before anybody went down there. And they got about Mobile, and I think my grandfather had one Miller Lite too many, and he let Shorty drive, and he was a backseat driver. I remember that. And Shorty got frustrated with him and said, "Well, here, Dean, you drive again," and snatched the wheel on the Cadillac, and it came off.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
they had to have it towed to the Cadillac dealer in Mobile and fixed. So I don't know if the guy that's his nephew knew about that, but I bet he may have heard of. I always called the man my grandfather. Him and my grandmother were together for, I don't know, 15, 16 years or something. So he was great. He was everything in the world to me. So that's all I ever called him. But
how about that?
But he may remember our family. But that was just funny, because you just thinking the kind of guy Shorty was. He'd heard enough of that backseat driving, and just going to hand him the wheel. And it came. He figuratively was going to hand it to him, and it literally came off.
That's great. And you know what, Joey? We used to have a guy that used to call in. He was an older fella. And it was like anytime we would start having these discussions about like a Heisman Trophy or past great players or even current great players, it seemed like he would call in and he'd say, "Matt, I just want to remind you, the greatest football player I have ever seen was Shorty Mac Williams at Mississippi State." And he was confident that this old guy was confident that he was the best player he'd ever seen.
Hey, Matt, he lived on, I want to say it would have been 32nd, but anyway, it's not. My buddy lived around the grandmother lived around the corner. We rode our bikes over in the summertime. She cooked us lunch out of her fresh garden every day. And Shorty lived around the corner, and he sat on his porch telling stories. And I'm telling you, kids would go there and listen and would not interrupt. And nobody tried to tell a bigger story than Shorty. His was, you're getting what my father-in-law called pissing matches.
Yeah, right.
Nobody got in a pissing match with Shorty. They let his story stand.
Yeah, I bet.
So I don't know if he could fight or not, but I don't think anybody ever wanted to find out. So he definitely was as tough as the rumors say. I remember it as a kid. So, and I think he lived. I think he hasn't been gone very long. Didn't he live quite a long time?
I think so. And I was thinking about it as you were talking about it right there, that I needed to probably look it up to make sure. I am seeing that he passed away in 97 in Meridian.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I graduated high school in 92. So I would have, I'd have been a kid when he was still kind of in his spry years. So,
Right. Gotcha.
And so, yeah, and him and Dean passed away in 99. So they, kind of right there together. But they were good. They were good friends. And so that's just kind of funny that somebody else is his nephew, too. So we got a connection with the previous caller.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thanks for the call, Joey, and I appreciate the story. Shorty McWilliams. All right, so born in Newton in 1926, lived to be 70 years old. Meridian High School, played for the Steelers for a year. Won a national championship as a member of the football team at Army, but that was in 1945. He finished 8th in the Heisman vote. They were 9-0. They were named a consensus national champion that year at Army, but that was in 45, right? So, I guess, pre-World War II, he played at Mississippi State and then played that last year at Army. Yeah, it says he first played at State in 44. Okay, so it was only 1 year. How about this? Not but he played at State in 44, played for Army in 45, won a national championship, then went back to State and played 46, 47, and 48. All-American, SEC Player of the Year. And in 44, he was 10th in the Heisman vote, finished 8th the next year. How about that? Good stuff. That'll wrap up hour number 2. If you leave us, have a great night. And if not, do us a favor, stick around. Hour 3 coming up.
Another load of smart pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, Percy.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Divinity Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max. Got it at C Spire. Went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one and got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out. Okay. And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
With same-day appointments, our knowledgeable physicians are here to deliver immediate and accurate results. Why wait? Don't live with joint pain any longer. Give Capital Ortho a call today at 601-987-8200 or visit CapitalOrtho.com. Let Capital Ortho help you say goodbye to joint pain and get you back to living your best life.
This is WRKS Pickens Jackson. Live
in the studio.
Live and local. This is the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at thezone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
I'm going to fix a casserole.
How about a little casserole? A little bit of everything in this hour. Why not? I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. This hour of the show is presented by Overstreet Properties and overstreetproperties.com. There it is. Give them a call, overstreetproperties.com. Anything residential in and around Starkville. If you're moving to Starkville, if you are needing to stay there overnight, condo when you come into town for ball games, whatever, anything like that, go to Overstreet Properties. See Kane Overstreet in Starkville. Tell him I said hello. All right, so off and running with you. The text line is wide open. We had a slew of text messages in the first couple of hours of the show. Lots of comments. Even Jason, he was hearing the Shorty McWilliams story on the show in hour number 2, and Jason texted and said, I knew him when I worked in Newton. He was a classy guy. In regards to some old guy pinching you on the collarbone and making you squirm, when you were a kid. I don't know why they did that. Will commented on YouTube, said his uncle used to do that to him. I was telling a story of knowing a guy who you'd shake his hand, he didn't grab your thumb and start pulling it back, and make you go to your knees and beg for mercy. Funny stuff happens. Right? It just guys, those older guys, like they can get away with it. You're not going to get mad or punch them. It's just cute when they do it, right? I look forward to getting old. I can do that to people. I don't know that I will, though. All right, so call me on the Divinity phone, 995-1059, 995-1059. It's a 601 number. Or text me on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. It's a 601 number, 885-ESPN. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Hit us up right there. You got junior college football, Mississippi Association of Community and Junior Colleges. Did they change that? It used to be MACJC, the Mississippi Association of Community and Junior Colleges. But did they do away with junior colleges? Now it's just community colleges? I don't know. Anyway, you got a week 2 of games here tonight. Let's see. Are any of them playing on Saturday? I don't see any. No, I don't think so. I think this week all the games are tonight, all right, in JUCO around the state. So tonight at 6:30, you'll have Hines hosting Holmes. I know Holmes lost last week. It seems like maybe Hines did too. I can't remember. All right, you're going to have, up in this part of the state, you're going to have Itawamba Community College hosting Colin. Colin got beat last week. Itawamba played on Saturday. It seems like they won. Maybe. I can't remember. Northeast at home in Boonville tonight is going to host Mississippi Gulf Coast. You've got Coahoma, who won last week, hosting Pearl River. You got Mississippi Delta at home in Moorhead. They won last week. They're hosting East Central. East Mississippi, who won last week after not playing at all last year, they travel to Southwest. And this ought to be a pretty good ball game. You got Jones, who blew out Northeast last week, at home, hosting Northwest tonight, 7 p.m. kickoff in Ellisville. Yeah, so that's your matchups in JUCO ball. You've got some high school games here tonight. You got, Brookhaven at Tylertown, scheduled for tonight. Brookhaven is 0-2. Tylertown is 2-0. Nanawaya at Choctaw Central, and somebody's going to be happy to get their first win of the year. Neither of those teams have won yet. Nanawaya is 0-2. I know Nanawaya lost to, who did they lose to last week? East Webster? I don't know. But anyway, Nanawaya is 0-2. Choctaw Central 0-1 in the game at Choctaw Central tonight. You got Vardaman at East Webster. How about Vardaman 2-0? The Rams traveling up to Mathiston. You'll be able to, if you're traveling on the Natchez Trace and you go through Mathiston, just north of the Highway 82 exit off of the Natchez Trace, you'll see the lights. East Webster High School, it's sitting about a few hundred yards right off the Natchez Trace. I guess it's a little closer to about a quarter of a mile, but you'll see the lights anyway. The trees in there around East Webster used to be thicker in that part of the trace, but that tornado back in 11 cleaned a lot of them out. But 2-0 versus 2-0, so those are high school games tonight. Coming to your text in just a minute. I was going to go ahead and peek ahead at some games that are scheduled for tomorrow night that you might be interested in, and I'll do that now. I'll scroll through some of those. Let's see. Provine's hosting Callaway tomorrow night. Sure is, right here in Jackson. And then Brandon is hosting Clinton. Now, Brandon's 0-2. Clinton's 1-1. Their one loss was to, and the season opener to Ocean Springs, the overtime game. Clinton won last week. Clinton looked like a good football team, just didn't pick up that win. Ocean Springs looked good too, obviously, in that first. I think Ocean Springs turned around and won again last week. But Brandon at home tomorrow night, hosting Clinton, trying to get their first win. So 1-1 at 0-2. I heard Chris Brooks talking earlier that, that's a game around here. If you just didn't have one and you're just picking one to go to, that'd probably be one you'd want to go see. North Forest hosting East Marion. You got Enterprise Clark at Mize in small school football. Let's see. Keep scrolling. What do you have? Warren Central going to host Germantown. So Germantown was there at Warren Central last year. But this schedule says they'll be there again. Germantown's 2-0. They beat that team from Louisiana last week, right? And, of course, beat Vicksburg in the first week. Warren Central beat Forest Hill and then beat Vicksburg last week, beat them 7-6. So Germantown and Warren Central both 2-0, and they've got a common opponent in that they both have beaten Vicksburg High School so far this year. And both games relatively competitive, especially last week. Warren Central was a 1-point ball game, low scoring, 7-6 ball game right there. Okay. Ridgeland's hosting Jim Hill. Ridgeland 1-1. These are tomorrow night, by the way, just in case you're wondering who, what, when, and where. Excuse me. Northwest ranking 0-2 in the year. They're going to host undefeated 2-0 Madison Central. So it's Madison Central at Northwest ranking tomorrow night. McGee goes to Florence. McGee's 0-1. Florence is 1-1. Richland going to host McLaurin tomorrow night. Terry is hosting Murrah. Forest Hill trying to get their first win. They're 0-2. They're going to host Neshoba Central tomorrow night. Neshoba Central pretty good. They're 2-0, if I'm looking at that right. Again, I'm looking at a schedule here at Capital Sports MS. What else we got? Y'all bored with this as I scroll through? I'm just telling you games. Where's Chicken Hawk? Morton is hosting Pearl. He's talking big about it. Pearl is 1-1. Morton is 0-2. And so that game will be at Morton tomorrow night. Taylorsville hosting Raleigh. You've got... Where else? Any more? Yeah, how about North Mississippi, Lafayette hosting South Haven. Lafayette's loss was to Tupelo. Who did South Haven lose to? I can't remember. I know Tupelo is supposed to host Corinth. And Starkville is at Olive Branch. Starkville's 2-0, Olive Branch 2-0. Olive Branch off to a pretty good start. Raymond is hosting Velma Jackson tomorrow night. Velma Jackson's 2-0. Raymond's 1-1. You got Canton at home tomorrow night, 0-2, hosting Vicksburg, who is 0-2. So somebody's going to get their first win in that one. Yazoo City going to host Yazoo County. That ought to be a doozy. It's Yazoo County 1-1. Yazoo City 2-0. And then take a look at private school. What do we have? Private school stuff. Where are they? Hartfield is at PCS. Okay, 3-0 versus 3-0. Tee it up. Prep is hosting Lamar. Prep's 1-2. Lamar has not won yet. They're 0-3. So put that one on the schedule. JA 3-0 hosting Madison St. Joe. Madison St. Joseph under John Bond, they lost the opener, but have blown somebody out 2 weeks in a row. Have played really good offensive football. So Madison St. Joe 2-1. JA 3-0. It's at JA tomorrow night. MRA is on the road at Simpson Academy. Surprisingly, MRA is 1-3. Tough start to the year for them. They'll get it together. They are at Simpson, who is 2-1 this year. Pretty good start for them. Okay. And there's some others, and we can kick those around later. Let me see what we got here. Text messages and messages on the live stream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope, feel free to comment. Somebody was telling me that Jones, let's see. Oh, yeah. That's where I'm going to be, Jason. Union is at Leak Academy tomorrow night. And I'm going to go. Never hung out in Madden, Mississippi, but I'm looking forward to seeing that ball game. So if everything goes according to plan, I'll be there. 2 or 3 cameras strapped to me. Keith said that Mississippi Delta Community College is up there with Jackson State in terms of their band. Keith said cheerleaders in the band. One guy had a cape on. You can see his shoes from 100 yards out. And so they have a big-time drum line. No lights, though. And the mosquitoes will carry you off if they have night games. Well, I'll tell you this, Keith. It's been a long time since I went, but two different times I was at a football game at Mississippi Delta Community College in Moorhead. And you're right. But both times I went, before we went, I'd heard, hey, man, night games, mosquitoes, they're going to carry. But both times I went, the wind blew like crazy because there's nothing to stop it. And it was just the time of year we were there, I guess. And it was just blowing through that campus. So there were no mosquitoes. We did not have to worry about mosquitoes. Not those two nights that I was there. The Kickers had a hard time. They sure did. Jason, T-shirt size, 2X. Appreciate that. And we were talking about community junior colleges. Somebody mentioned it to me in the comments. I've lost track of where the comment was, but they reminded me that Jones, that was Jason earlier on Facebook, said Jones is the only one that they still call themselves a junior college. See, and I was confused. I thought they changed it recently because I always knew they were referred to as JCJC, right? Because they were the one that was still the junior college. But it seems like I had heard that they had changed that, but anyway, maybe not. All right, what do we got? Text messages on the Country Pleasing text line. Let's see where we are. Bully Mo. Maybe his name is Mo. Bully Mo says, afternoon, Matt. Am I wrong in saying Will Rogers had lots of throws over linebackers and defenders where he had to have touch on the ball, hence not the super strong arm all game? Yeah, I don't know. I have to be honest with y'all. I'm a little bit taxed on talking about arm strength because I just think I think what we're talking about is a little beneath all of us. It's a ridiculous conversation. So not that I'm saying your question is not ridiculous. That's not what I'm saying, Mo. I'm saying we talked about it enough, and I'm gonna move on from the arm strength stuff. I think it's a little silly. Denzel said, Matt, Chicken Hawk likes to pick on me in my town of Union, Mississippi. He says, well, Chicken Hawk, we have something your area doesn't have. This is a text from White Denzel. He says, Floyd Davis Wade Sr., who Davis Wade Stadium is named after, is buried in my town of Union at the cemetery in town. Well, that's a heck of a claim to fame right there. Chicken Hawk, being a big state fan, might want to consider that next time he picks on Union, right? Right? Good stuff, Denzel. Thanks for your text. Bill, you said you had to tune out yesterday. You never did hear whether or not I had seen the movie Greater yet. No, I have not seen it yet. That was my thing. I do want to see it, though, and I've had a lot of people tell me that I've got to watch it. But, yeah, I'll put it on the list. It's just a matter of finding time to sit down and watch a whole movie. I don't even watch a whole ball game. I watch about a half of a ball game at a time unless I'm working it. So it's hard to find time for a whole movie. PRG texted the show and said, what's the thought process behind those wide splits between offensive linemen? What kind of advantage does that give, if any? And if you gain an advantage by having wide splits, is it negated when 5 can't block 3? Thanks, and I enjoy the show and your film study shows on YouTube. Thanks, PRG. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's kind of iffy now. Like when you can't do it, it can get messy, right? There is, well, let me answer this so you can follow me. I have a bad problem with sometimes I'll answer questions. I get to thinking and I start off in the weeds as opposed to getting to the weeds later. All right. To answer your question, the thought process behind the splits is 2-3-fold. It's by design. There's a reason they do it. It's a reason they always have. There's a reason it has always worked and really worked well with their offense once they got to where they were proficient in doing it, okay? It's not because they're being stubborn. They don't do it just to try to prove a point and show that they're right and other people are wrong, and that we can do something hard. Trust me, there's a reason they do it. One, the wider splits, the farther the tackles are from the quarterback, therefore the farther from the defensive ends. They got to take 2 more steps to get to the QB. That's another half second or second. And I can get the ball out because I'm throwing it 47 times a game. Number 2, throwing lanes. We're constantly throwing a ball in the middle of the field. Crossing route, hitch, dump down, hitch, crossing route, slant, zip, 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 zip. My guys are spread out a little more. I can see a little better through the lanes because there's more one-on-one blocking going on because we got wider splits. Okay, that's another little part of it also. Number 2, the air raid forces defenses to what? They have historically done what? Stay behind, don't want to give it the deep ball, and they get a little soft, play more zone coverage. What does that mean? It means it's better for us to be able to decide when we want to run the ball right up the chute. And so therefore we have inside zone lanes that are a little wider, a little spread out. So if I pop a handoff here in the middle and they slant one way, we pop up in there and make 4 yards a little easier than if we were all crammed in there together with no blockers and not pulling and all that kind of stuff. So it all works together to facilitate the throwing part of this offense, okay? Well, it's hard to do. We had someone text in the other day that said, hey, my nephew played offensive line in college, and he tells me that those wide splits are tough because it makes the interior offensive linemen have to pass block in space. And they've never done it before if they've never played tackle, or they're not used to it. It's a lot harder to do than people think. And it is harder to do. Then I pointed out, PRG, you notice what Mississippi State has done? I'm always talking about this inexperience this year on the starting 5. Well, who are their starting 5? 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen are tackles. Their left tackle is a tackle. Their left guard is a former starting tackle. Their right guard is a former tackle. And their right tackle is a tackle. They're all tackles. Why? Because tackles have practiced more and spent more time blocking out in space one-on-one. They're more built for it. That's why they play tackle. The only career interior offensive lineman you've got starting on your offensive line is LaQuinston Sharp, the center. And because he's a center, he's pretty much always going to be helping somebody or getting help, right? So it's starting to make a little sense of what they're doing. And you go, well, what if they're not good at it? Well, I would say, what if they're not good at it, ... yet? Now we might be getting down to it. Let me tell you another thing. Consider this, PRG. I asked a question the other day. I said, why don't we see more of the all-out, full-on, high-velocity, high-speed, hurry-up RPO offenses in the NFL? We see them in college, and we see them be successful and get lots of yards in college. We often see their quarterbacks from RPO, hurry-up offenses in college, go to the NFL and struggle in the NFL because the game's so much different. So why doesn't that offense get played in? If it works so well in college, why don't they run it in the NFL? Well, one of the reasons is that everybody, and I called around and talked to some guys. I talked to a former NFL player who was a great player, friend of mine. And I talked to 2 former coaches, 3 different people. And I wondered if my inclination, some things I was thinking about was correct. And I was in tune with them when they all said, well, it seems like probably one of the reasons is in the NFL, you don't want to expose your quarterback to hits and having to run and those kinds of things the way the RPO offenses in college do. Right? You're not going to have a $35 million quarterback in the NFL, but we're running RPO stuff 20 times a game where he may have to pull the ball and run because the opposing defense, guess what they're going to force him to do? Pull the ball and run. They want the quarterback to run it. So that's one reason it might be translating to the NFL. But why do they do it in college? Because it protects and hides your offensive line a little bit. It makes it easier on your offensive line. The RPO stuff, they're blocking fewer people. They're blocking for a less amount of time. We're not even calling pass blocking on a lot of things that become passes. Does that make sense? And the splits are tighter and they're helping each other. On all these reads, there's players they don't have to block because we're letting the quarterback handle it with a read, which may include him running the ball. But see, that stuff doesn't make it to the NFL a lot, as much. So you consider all those things. There's a reason they do it. There's a reason other offenses don't. I would say if it doesn't work, you better get it working. I'm Matt. Y'all stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech-Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech-Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Bird's Eye. Better buy, better buy, better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you.
And he's on your radio
right now.
You've got the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Hey, I'm Matt. Hey, Bill, welcome back, Bill. Welcome back.
Got him on the spot. Welcome back.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter.
Up your nose with a rubber hose.
Well, Bill, it's funny that I should bring that up to you because there's actually a reason for it.
I figured there was.
I'm Matt. He's Bill. We're in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team on this day. What year was it? Find it, Matt. It's on there. So here it is. On this day, September the 9th, 1975, the first episode of Welcome Back, Kotter aired on ABC.
Got him on the spot.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
So, to
Sebastian.
Say what?
That was John Sebastian.
John Sebastian. What a great song. Well, I found a clip.
Turtles. He was with the Turtles.
All right, so you had Vinny Barbarino, right?
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter, played by John Travolta.
John Travolta. His big break.
And then you had Horseshack, the little squirrely guy who was hilarious. But who were the other characters on that show? I was trying to think of that. Let me see here.
Well, Robert Hedges was the little guy that played the Mexican dude that had the bandana hanging out of his pocket. What was his name?
Oh, yeah. He played, oh, man.
And Freddie Boom Boom Washington was the tall
right.
guy here. Yeah.
Right. Freddie Boom Boom. And then you had Gabe Kaplan.
Was Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter. And then, yeah, Louvier. Thanks, Louvier. Juan Epstein.
Juan Epstein. That's it. Yeah, Juan Epstein.
All these cast
He
of
was
characters.
Puerto Rican, I think.
That's
Puerto
it.
Rican and something else. Yeah.
So I found a clip where apparently Mr. Cotter, played by Gabe Kaplan, was trying to not get angry. He was going to be in a good frame of mind, not be somebody who got in not shouting matches, but wouldn't go back and forth with these guys. He was just going to be Mr. Nice Guy. And they were Vinny was trying to egg him on to get him to come back and kind of be himself again.
Oh, come on. You can't kid us. I mean, you leave me no choice but to prove it. Hey, Carter, up your nose with rubber hose.
Travolta.
Hey, Carter, you are so low. You are so low that you could play handball up against the curb.
All right, see, and he's shaking his head. He just won't respond, and here comes Horseshack.
See what I mean? The old Carter wouldn't have taken that.
He's right, Mr. Carter. If you was yourself today and Vinny said them things to you, well, you probably would have said something like, hey, Vinny, you know why you don't got no freckles? Because they probably slide off.
He's not done. Horseshack isn't done.
Then you probably would have said, hey, Vinny, if you ever jumped off the George Washington Bridge, you'd leave a bathtub ring all around the Hudson River. The big finish. Hey, Vinny! They tell me your mother.
Enough, Horseshack, enough.
Enough, Horseshack. No mother jokes.
He wasn't trying to say he's like a greaser or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was saying. They probably slide right off.
Right off of a bathtub ring.
Oh, well, the first one aired on this day in 75. All right, so how many seasons of Welcome Back, Kotter? How many seasons? Show history. There was an ABC show. Here we go. 4 seasons. Originally 4 seasons of the show. So it didn't last that long. Went through the 78-79 season. Yeah, but super duper show, man. I bet you could find those these days on like, Amazon Prime or Hulu or something if you want to go back and watch them. It's crazy too. So like to see John Travolta so young. I mean, it was almost like even before his voice changed, before his voice dropped. That's how young he was back then. But that was a great show. It was hilarious. But kind of coined I wonder if they wrote, I didn't look this up. I wonder if they wrote the song for the show. That I don't know. I'm sure someone could find out.
It's your fit. So apparently they might have.
And I
John
bet
Sebastian wrote it, for that. They
for that
probably
show.
Hired him to do it, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, back over to football real quick. Warren on the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage. Hey, trust me, if you get a chance, you're going through Florence on Highway 49, stop into Country Meat Packers. You will not believe it. You will not believe what's in the butcher shop, the options, the stuff, the goodies. Olivier can tell you, he goes all the time. Warren texted the show. He says, Matt, give me a winner of the Kentucky-Missouri game. What do you think? Well, it'll be Kentucky. Kentucky's going to win the game. Listen, I think Kentucky may be the surprise team out there this year. I didn't even see much of it the other day. Now, that's Louisiana Monroe, but their style is a little more pro style. They've got the personnel to do it, and this quarterback came in here and looks good. So they keep those healthy. Look, Kentucky is an example of when you're patient. I mean, and I say that, and sure, there have been times over the years that Kentucky fans wanted to move on, wanted to fire Mark Stoops, and it's just not going to work, They just hang in there. I'm building it up, and sure enough, he did. And Kentucky flipped the script on Mississippi State, and that helped when Dan Mullen left. The whole time Dan Mullen was there, you're playing him every year, and State just beat Kentucky just about every year, didn't lose to him. But then he leaves, and you flip the script, got better, recruited to it. And after about 9 or 10 years, you look up, and all of a sudden, it's taken that long to build the program up. Little by little, they hung in there, they did it, and they did have a long way to go when he got it. But for the most part, they've supported it, and they've got a good program now. They're starting to put some guys in the NFL. They've won a couple of recruiting battles. They're not on Georgia's level recruiting. They're just not. Now they may not even really be on Florida's level recruiting, but I'm telling you, it's a good program. Yeah, I think Kentucky wins it. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. Glad you didn't ask me for a score. Maroon Miss was telling me that Jones has changed it. They still use the logo JCJC, but they have changed it to Jones College, and that your granddaughter plays soccer there. See, that's what I was thinking, Maroon. I thought I caught wind of that maybe a year or two ago, that they were going with Jones College. Yeah. That boy texted us. He said he's picking us up loud and clear in Indianola. His prediction, Ridgeland will win the 5A state championship this year. How do y'all feel about that? Mm-hmm. All right, Ready Ted, and this is the last thing, I'm coming to the phone. Ready Teddy said, Matt, do you remember talking about that 6'8", 240-pound kicker for SMU? Well, I have a friend whose son also kicks for SMU. I saw my friend, I asked about the big kicker. He said, yeah, he's the reason my son just got cut. That's tough. I hate to hear that. But look, apparently the guy is like really good on top of being humongous. 6'8", 240 pounds. All right, Tide Man hanging on the Davini phone on line 1. What's up, Tide Man?
Hey, good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well.
You as well.
Yes, sir. Listen, is it Gator Greg? Is that right?
That's
Did
him.
I get that right? Is that, Yeah. He always enjoys calls. Good guy. So, here's my question: Can you guys work in a little Sweet Home Alabama, a little Yay Alabama, like you give
Oh,
Gator
so
Talk?
you're saying when you call. Yeah, I see what you mean. So well, okay, I don't see why not. Now, I will say that the context here is that Gator Greg's been calling my radio shows that I've done for well over a decade. And so look, if you want it when you call, I'll cue it up for a few seconds. I don't mind. How about that?
That's beautiful.
Anyway, all right.
I got to earn it, man. I got to earn my stripes. So
That's it.
absolutely. So no problem. I'll try to be a more frequent caller because you really are my favorite.
Hey, look, Bill got you covered. Hey, boy. All right, Tide Man. We'll try to remember the next time you call. Thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it very much.
Love that.
Thank you. Hey, Louvier, I got like 1 minute. I hope it doesn't cut you short. Thanks for calling, Louvier. What's up?
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen, and Go Saints. I'll be quick. Listen, I had some friends that were evacuating from Ida and the carnage, and then all of a sudden they decided not to come, but it was after I had already gone to Country Meat Packers and loaded up on a bunch of stuff, and they missed out, and I was almost put out by it. And then I listened to WWL last night on the radio when I was traveling, and let me tell you, I cannot. I have to forgive being offended by them telling me they're coming and not. It is a third world country down there with no electricity.
Yeah.
They did miss out on some great hash brown casserole and chicken spaghetti, but I'll make it up to them. But we need to be aware that the folks in and around New Orleans, they are suffering.
Yes, they are.
It is bad down there. It still is bad.
Yep.
So let's pray for them. Your listenership has a great prayer following. So let's all join and pray for the city of New Orleans. I'm asking you, please.
We'll do it.
Go Saints.
Go Saints. Thanks, Louvier. You're so right. We will do it. We'll pray for those people. We needed to be reminded of that, and they are suffering. Many of them still without power. It's tough. All right, stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
Sports talk. I'm talking way back. It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone.
All right, back with you. Getting all set to wrap it up with you here on this Thursday. Next time we talk, be tomorrow. We'll have the results of Cowboys and Buccaneers tonight in Tampa. A little after 7 p.m. They'll kick it off. Zach Martin not expected to play. Unlikely that he plays anyway tonight after testing positive for COVID earlier. They were hoping they could squeeze in 2 negative tests, get him to play, but I don't think that's happening. At least it doesn't sound like that's happening. You would think Tampa's got a big advantage in the game, but we'll see. That'll be fun to watch, man. In the league where they play for pay. Before we jump over into the Wayback Machine, I just wanted to point to something a local kid did last night on a big stage. Straight out of Crystal Springs, Mississippi. Hunter Renfrow, via Mississippi State, almost kind of sort of won a baseball game right by himself for the Boston Red Sox last night in a key division game, in a one-run division game in Boston at Fenway Park between the Red Sox and the Rays. Now, scoreless game. Ball's hit up the right side off the wall. Guy's trying to stretch it into a double. It bangs off the wall, and Renfrow runs in and picks it up.
Man, he just basically tossed it down the line, up against the tarp. Here's the throw, the tag, got him!
Oh, my.
Well, guess who? Hunter Renfrow says, how do you do?
He's got an unbelievable arm, maybe the best outfield arm in the majors, and just rifled the guy, threw him out, trying to stretch it into a double, preserved a scoreless ball game. Fast forward to the 8th inning. It's Tampa has gone up by a run. They got a runner on base. Renfrow to the plate.
Renfrow tonight 1 for 3, a single. Sox looking for some magic. Down a run. High fly ball, left field. That's way up there. And there's your magic, baby. That's gone.
There it is. He left that pitch out over the plate, like I said, took total advantage of it.
Hunter Renfrow, number 27. And he's put the Red Sox in front with an absolute bomb at Fenway.
Yeah, hit it out of Fenway Park to left. It went into the road out there, out into the street. It put them up by a run, 2-1. And then in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs, a base hit by Tampa to center field. It got past the center fielder. There was Renfrow to run it down.
Fly ball. That one headed for the alley. Santana with a dive. He can't get it. It rolls behind him. Renfrow backs him up. Wendell's heading for third. Here's the throw. The tag.
Wendell out at third base, trying to sprint to third. He is cut down, and the
Sox win a thriller at Fenway Park.
Yeah, Renfroe backed up the center fielder, picked up the baseball before it gets to the warning track, pirouettes, turns, makes a long laser throw from the center field warning track to third base, one hop, boom, got him trying to stretch a double into a triple, third out of the inning, game over. It was incredible.
So you traded me why, Tampa?
Yeah. But yeah, that's right. By the way, it is a team you play
traded
for.
me why, Padres?
Yeah. Look, he basically won the game for him last night, and they said so. He's having a great year.
Oh.
For sure.
Five-tool player, man. You don't see many of those. He's good.
Yep. Your beloved Padres drafted him at first, and then.
Yeah, he played there for a good while.
But, boy, this seems to be working out right now for him in Boston. Hey, and real quick, here's his comment after the game about the go-ahead home run.
I was just looking for something over the plate. Was able to make a good swing, like I said, and I wasn't really looking for a specific pitch. Wasn't looking for a slider, wasn't looking for a fastball. Just looking for something over the plate I can drive and try not to get him too far in because he has a great, sinker and anything in could, possibly get a ground ball. So I was trying to elevate the pitch and make it a swing.
That's Hunter Renfroe. All right, here we go to the Wayback. Now, over here in the Wayback Machine today, we got two things for you. And, Bill, one of these is going to hit real close to home for me.
Mm-hmm.
All the way back in 1956, when some guy from Tupelo, Mississippi, made an appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, and he sang "Love Me Tender." Y'all know who it is?
Love me tender, love me sweet.
Never heard of the guy.
I never heard of him.
Never
hey, who is that guy?
Let me go.
Elvis Presley, September the 9th, 1956. His first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, sang "Love Me Tender." They filmed him from the waist up during the performance. Made a total of 3 appearances on the show. This was the first of 3, and they all became legendary. Wouldn't you say, Bill?
Oh, yeah. When he did Hound Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never forget when he was on, what show was that? Was it, he was on somebody else's show, and he had a little hound dog. They had a basset hound sitting on a pedestal, and he was singing to the basset.
Oh, you're right.
Singing Hound Dog, too.
Yeah, I've seen those. I don't know that I've seen the pictures of that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Okay, now we go over to Bandstand. Speaking of Vinny Barbarino and Freckles sliding right off, on this day, September 9th, 1978, on American Bandstand, Frankie Valli performed "Grease."
My favorite movies. One of my favorites.
Is it really? So, Bill, as that plays, you'll get a kick out of this. A couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, my daughter, her first cousin, who they're like sister cousins, they're so close in age, Mary Beckett, their moms sat down and they watched some of that movie, not all of it, but some of the movie Grease, some of the musical parts and different things.
It's on all the time.
Right. And the girls loved it.
Oh, man.
And then we were on the way home, and I turned on the radio. I turned it over to the 70s channel, and the song starts, and Mary Liddy, 10 years old, is going, "Oh, whoa, 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 that's a song from that movie." She loved it.
Oh, it's a great movie.
That's good. Frankie Valli and "Grease." That was on American Bandstand on this day in 1978.
Yeah.
I was a young whippersnapper back in 78. Back when, Bill, when everybody took pictures, but then they had to wait for them to be developed.
Yeah, exactly. Or you had one of those instant cameras that you had to shake it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It hurt your wrist.
Yeah, the Polaroid. They did have the Polaroid.
Snapshot, they called it. Polaroid snapshot.
Yeah, it would, and it spit the picture out.
And then you had to shake it.
Yeah. And then, hence the lyrics of rap songs in the 2000s, you got to shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
I'm going to think of that. And as things go, now the old instant pictures, Polaroid, has become a retro thing.
Yeah, they have it again, yeah.
And you can go buy like a retro Polaroid and it'll spit your picture out. And kids' cameras. My daughter has a little toy camera that it's a toy, but look, it runs off batteries. You put film in it. She goes around, takes a picture. It spits the picture out. A little Polaroid thing, you know? And, so that's where we are now, back when you had those. And one thing I remember, too, is like all those pictures that were being taken with those old cameras and getting developed in the late 70s, they all seemed to come back, and they were all like one kind of orangish color. Yeah. The whole thing had this orange hue over the picture. You can be dated by the look of them. That was back in those days.
Good thing about those, you could write on the back, you know what it was, the date, and all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
As soon as you got the picture, you just write it on there and knew when you took it.
Yeah. That really is a thing of the past, isn't it? Yeah. Picture albums. Growing up, my dad's side, well, really my mom and dad both had, fairly large families. My mother was one of 4 children. My dad's one of 7. And both sets of grandparents, but particularly on my dad's side, whenever we would go visiting and stuff, part of the routine is like you go and you stay at grandma and granddad's for a weekend. And at some point, inevitably, somebody would get into these cabinets they had and pull out these giant picture albums that went all the way back to when our moms and dads were kids, full of black and white pictures of when they were in grade school, and you flip through and look at all. And that was just something we did.
There's always a picture in there. Everybody looks at it and goes, who is that?
Right.
And that must be, no, can't be him.
That ain't him. And then it sparks a conversation. It sparks, that's so-and-so. He married so-and-so, and did you know that she's in the hospital? And then it's like, I didn't know that. Yeah. Fell down the steps, and all this stuff. It's funny how those things work. We don't sit around and look at picture albums anymore, do we?
No, you look at them on camera now.
I mean, I guess you do. Phone. You look at phones, but I don't know. Times, they are a-changin'. Well, it's been a good show. Bill, I appreciate you as always.
You too.
Thank you all for tuning in today on this Thursday. We're going to be here and do it all again tomorrow if something don't happen and the creek don't rise. See you then. See ya!
Another load of Smart Pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, Percy.